cause relationship between cause and effect. You cannot understand Samudaya Satya, the noble truth of the origin of suffering. Without understanding Four Noble Truths, you cannot become Sotapanna or Sakadagami or Anagami or Rahat. So, Samudaya Satya is among Four Noble Truths. Samudaya Satya is one. So, to understand, because of the rising of Samudaya Satya, Dukkha Satya arises. Because of the Dukkha Satya is effect, Samudaya Satya is cause. Causal relationship between Samudaya Satya and Dukkha Satya is called dependent origination. If you do not understand dependent origination by your direct knowledge, how you can understand Samudaya Satya produce Dukkha Satya by your direct knowledge? So, because of this reason, to understand the causal relationship between Dukkha Satya and Samudaya Satya, or Samudaya Satya and Dukkha Satya, we must try to see 5 past aggregates. Without seeing 5 past aggregates, you cannot understand 5 past causes. Why? Now, for example, if there is any future existence, what do you want to be? To become bhikkhu? Okay? For example, if you wish for to become bhikkhu in future existence, if you understand there is bhikkhu, this is ignorance, wrong understanding, delusion. If you have an attachment to the bhikkhu life, this is called craving. Repeated craving is called clinging upadana. Depending on these 3, vijja, tanha, upadana, you accumulate wholesome dhammas such as listening, dhamma talk, etc. These wholesome dhammas are called sankhara, formations, but they are nature and permanent. As soon as they arise, they are passed away. But successively they may rise, successively they may pass away. But when they pass away, they left behind the karmic force, which can produce 5 aggregates, which is called bhikkhu life. So this karmic force is called karma. Altogether, how many? Vijja, tanha, upadana, sankhara, karma, 5 present causes. These 5 present causes arise depending on your 5 aggregates only. Without 5 aggregates, these 5 causes cannot rise. In the same way, in previous life, there must be 5 aggregates. Depending on these 5 aggregates, 5 past causes arise. Without seeing past 5 aggregates, you cannot understand 5 past causes. So to understand 5 causes, you should try first to see, to understand or to realize 5 past aggregates. We are discerning only nama rupa only, not man and woman. We are discerning nama rupa and cause and effect only. So because of, if you understand 5 past causes, at that time only you will try to see 5 past causes, whether 5 past causes produce present 5 aggregates or not. At that time only you will understand cause relationship between cause and effect. Cause relationship between Samudaya Satya and Dukkha Satya. In the same way, without discerning future 5 aggregates, you cannot understand present 5 causes will produce future effect by your direct knowledge. To understand by your direct knowledge, present 5 causes produce future 5 aggregates. Then you must discern also present 5 causes as well as future 5 aggregates. At that time only you will understand by your direct knowledge the cause relationship between cause and effect. Samudaya Satya and Dukkha Satya. So for understanding of Samudaya Satya and Dukkha Satya, we are trying 2 desa, 5 past causes as well as 5 past aggregates only. Therefore, we are teaching 2 desa, 5 past causes and 5 past aggregates and future 5 aggregates. For realization of the causal relationship between Samudaya Sitya and Dukkha Sitya only. We are not searching for wife and husband. If you want to search for wife and husband, then you can try, no problem. So for realization of Four Noble Truths only, we are practicing Samatha Vipassana. If you want to understand, because of the arising of Samudaya Sitya, Dukkha Sitya, Dhammas arise, then you must discern past and future. Without discerning past aggregates and future aggregates, you cannot understand Samudaya Sitya. Because of the arising of Samudaya Sitya, Dukkha Sitya arise. You cannot understand by your direct knowledge. Another problem is Buddha taught in Mahasatipatthana Sutta not only rising stage but also perishing stage. Because of the complete cessation of causes, 5 aggregates also cease completely without remainder. This is called Pichya Do Vaya Dasana. In Mahasatipatthana Sutta, Buddha explained this. When 5 past causes will cease completely without remainder. When you attain Arhat stage, at that time only your Arhat path will destroy 5 past causes completely without remainder. Now you are not yet attained Arhat stage. Now you are still worldly Puthujjana. Although you are now still Puthujjana, Buddha instructs to understand or to pay attention because of the complete cessation of 5 causes. 5 aggregates cease completely without remainder. While you are practicing Uddiyabhaya Jnana Vipassana inside knowledge stage, you must practice this way. So, without discerning future 5 aggregates, you cannot understand. Because of the complete cessation of 5 causes, 5 aggregates also cease completely without remainder. When it will cease without remainder, if you attain Pranidhana, at that time only 5 aggregates will cease completely without remainder. Now you are not yet attained Pranidhana. So because of this reason, future for understanding of this cessation, 2 types of cessation, future also necessary. You must also discern future 5 aggregates. So therefore, if you want to practice Samatha Vipassana diligently in any right way, you should also try to understand Mahasatipatthana Sutta. There are many translations now. You should try to understand this, depending on these translations, what is Samatha, what is Vipassana, how we should practice Samatha Vipassana, etc. May you realize Nibbana very soon.
现在分享功。
Idame Bunya Aswakaya Waha Hodu Idame Bunya Nibbana Sa Pachayo Hodu Idame Bunya Sabha Sadhana Pajema Tisabe Mesama Punya Baga Lavandu Sadhu 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 Swakya Sutta. Last night also we discussed. Please listen again. I will repeat. Because I say that the destruction of the dead is for one who knows and sees, not for one who does not know and does not see. For one who knows what, for one who sees what, thus the destruction of the dead comes about. The destruction of the dead comes about for one who knows and sees. This is the noble truth of suffering. For one who knows and sees, this is the noble truth of the origin of suffering. For one who knows and sees, this is the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. For one who knows and sees, this is the noble truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering. Because it is for one who knows thus, it is for one who sees thus, that the destruction of the dead comes about. This is Aswakya Sutta. So, when you are practicing Vipassana, if you understand Four Noble Truths clearly, then we can say it is right. But if you do not understand Four Noble Truths, although you are practicing Vipassana, then how we can say your Vipassana is true Vipassana? What is noble truth of suffering? We had explained, but I want to explain again. Five aggregate subject to clinging are noble truth of suffering. What are five aggregates subject to clinging? What are five aggregates of clinging? Or what are five clinging aggregates? If you learn Abhidhamma thoroughly, then you can easily understand what are five clinging aggregates. So, without understanding Abhidhamma, if you practice Vipassana, sometimes your Vipassana may be not real Vipassana, maybe artificial Vipassana. In the same way, what is noble truth of the origin of suffering? We had explained dependent origination is the noble truth of the origin of suffering. You should try to understand dependent origination first by learning knowledge under the guidance of a skillful teacher. Then, while you are practicing Vipassana, if you understand the dependent origination by your direct knowledge, we can say your Vipassana is true. But if you do not understand dependent origination, how we can say your Vipassana is true? So this is problem. So what is ultimate materiality? What is ultimate mentality? If you had enough Abhidhamma knowledge, then you will understand, oh, according to Buddha's teaching, materiality is arises as a small particles. There are different types of small particles. If we analyze these small particles, at that only we can understand ultimate materiality. These are the object of Vipassana, etc. In this way you will understand. So, better way is you should read suttas as well as you should learn Abhidhamma also, if you want to understand the true Vipassana. In the same way, if you want to understand Four Noble Truths, how you should try? There is one sutta in Sijja Sanyutta, number 1, first sutta, Samadhi Sutta. Buddha says in that sutta, Samadhi bhikkhve bhaveta, Samadhi do bhikkhve bhikkhu yatha buddham vajjanati. Bhikkhus develop concentration. A bhikkhu who has concentrated mind understands the Dhammas as they really are. What does he understand as it really is? He understands as it really is, this is the noble truth of suffering. He understands as it really is, this is the noble truth of the origin of suffering. He understands as it really is, this is the noble truth of cessation of suffering. He understands as it really is, this is the noble truth of the path, leading to the cessation of suffering. So therefore bhikkhus develop concentration. A bhikkhu who has concentrated mind understands the dhammas as they really are. In this way Buddha taught. If you have enough confidence in Buddha and as well as his teaching, then you should practice according to these instructions. If you reject samatha, this is the problem for you. Because samatha meditation produce deeper and higher concentration. Without concentrated mind, you cannot see ultimate materiality, ultimate mentality and their causes. These ultimate materiality, ultimate mentality and their causes are the object of vipassana. Without understanding the object of vipassana, if you practice vipassana, your vipassana is not true vipassana. So to penetrate ultimate materiality, ultimate mentality and their causes, you should practice samatha or you should try concentration practice. Concentrated mind can see Four Noble Truths as they really are. If you want to clarify different way of teaching about Anapana meditation, you should read Majjhima Nikaya, Anapanasati Sutta, etc. These suttas are the instruments to measure what is true, what is not true, what is right, what is wrong. So, without understanding suttas as well as Abhidhamma, if you study Buddha's teachings, you cannot understand deep and profound meaning. Especially if you want to understand Anapana meditation, please read Visuddhimagga, the path of purification, Anapanasati chapter. In that chapter, commentator composed different teachings of Buddha and explained the meanings of the Buddha, how to practice Anapanasati meditation. So such books are reliable books. You should read these books, it is better. So there are, according to Buddha's teaching, there are 20 types of ultimate materialities. When you are practicing vipassana, you should ask to yourself whether I understand 28 types of materiality by my own direct knowledge. Then you can easily understand. If you cannot understand by your own direct knowledge these 28 types of materiality, then you can reject your vipassana. This is not true vipassana. But according to Buddha's teaching, this ultimate materiality rises as a small particles. So first you must try to see small particles. Secondly, you must try to analyze these small particles. When you are practicing vipassana, if you do not see small particles, or if you cannot analyze these small particles, we can say that you are not understanding the ultimate materiality. This ultimate materiality is the noble truth of suffering. One part of the noble truth of suffering. In the same way, if you do not understand ultimate mentality by your direct knowledge, you can say that you are not practicing real vipassana. So there are 52 mental formations, cetasikas, mental fetters. How they arise? If you do not understand these 52 mental fetters as well as how they arise, then your vipassana will be only just superficial. In the same way, second noble truth is the dependent origination. If you do not understand past causes produce present effect, present causes will produce future effect, then we can say that you do not understand dependent origination by your direct knowledge. If you do not understand dependent origination by your direct knowledge, then we can say that you are not understanding the noble truth of the origin of suffering, samudaya satya. Without understanding the noble truth of the suffering, dukkha satya, and without understanding the noble truth of the origin of suffering, samudaya satya, if you practice vipassana, your vipassana is not real vipassana. Why? If you contemplate these two noble truth dhammas, this is they are ultimate materiality, ultimate mentality, and their causes. If you contemplate these formations, sankharas, as anicca, dukkha, anatta, that such type of contemplation is called vipassana only. So without understanding, if you practice, without understanding these two noble truths, if you practice vipassana, your vipassana is not real vipassana.
Is some of the meditation teachers directly or indirectly claims that they have attained sainthood, they are Arya, and then they have attained psychic power, opinion. Then could the sadhaka please give us advice on how to know that the attainment is real or not?
If you discuss with them, if they understand Four Noble Truths, and they are all direct knowledge, then we can say it is real noble one. But if they do not understand about Four Noble Truths, but yet they are all direct knowledge, how we can say this is noble one? So these Four Noble Truths are the instrument to measure one person whether he is noble one or not. Such power is very difficult to say. Nowadays it will be very difficult to possess such power, such as especially reading others' mind. This is very difficult. Very difficult means when they are practicing vipassana, if they really do not understand ultimate mentality according to cognitive process as well as process free, then if he reads others' mind, this is only just superficial, maybe posting.
跟这些导师讨论，然后他们是真正的能够以观是直接的透视四圣谛的话，那么他们就可能是圣者。但是如果他们并不能够以观是直接的透视四圣谛的话呢，我们又怎么能够说他们是圣者呢？所以四圣谛就是我们衡量一个人是否是圣者的尺度。至于神通这一点呢，就很难说的了。因为现在呢，已经很难证得神通，尤其是他心通。为什么说难呢？为什么困难呢？因为如果在一个长期的修行观察的时候，如果他观这个心路过程以及离心路过程，心路过程是我们心里面比较活跃的心，它升起是一串的。在这个活跃的心之间呢，有那些有分心，就是离心路过程心。第一个心，最后一个心。第一个是一生当中第一个心，结生心；最后一个心是死亡心。所以，在我们去观察的时候，我们这么去观， 这些心路过程的心和离心路过程的心。如果我们看到别人的心的话呢，我们也能够知道一点点，但是呢，这是比较浅的，这个并不是神通。
According to Buddha's teaching, if you became arhat, then you will understand another person will be arhat or not. But if you possess the such power which can reach others' mind only. So, real understanding, one is arhat, it is not easy. But if you have enough confidence or this noble Mahathira is arhat, for example, reliable persons, if they agree, then you can approach to him only. But to understand real arhat is you should try to become arhat first. Then you should try to possess such power which can reach others' mind. And then only you will understand by your direct knowledge this is real arhat or not. There is one famous example which is mentioned in Visuddhimagga. Venerable Mahanaga, who practiced Vipassana diligently for 16 years, but he practiced Samatha first, as well as he practiced such powers. He had already attained mundane five such powers. Based on this concentration, he practiced Vipassana. But while practicing Vipassana, very subtle and powerful light, the light of wisdom, appeared in him. He thinks this the light of wisdom produced by his arhat. So he do not emphasize to practice more. He stayed on that stage only. How long? He stayed practicing such Vipassana for 16 years. One day, one of his disciples, Dhammadina Mahathira, he tried to read his teacher. Now I became arhat. My teacher who teaches me Samatha Vipassana thoroughly, whether he is real arhat or not. While he is reading his teacher's mind, he saw this is not real arhat. Because at that day Dhammadina Thera became arhat. He can read others' mind also. Because of this reason, suddenly he went to his teacher flying from in the sky. And then he go down to his teacher's place and pay respect and ask many questions. Maybe according to Visuddhimagga, maybe bouncing questions. He can answer without delay. But Venerable Dhammadina think, he is now thinking himself, he had begun arhat. So he suggests his teacher to create elephant. And that elephant is attacking both of them. So when he is creating this such power, when the elephant attacks both of them, then he tried to run away. So at that time, Venerable Dhammadina pulled his rope and asked, Venerable Sir, perhaps have any fear to any them? In this way he asked. At that time only he understood he is not arhat. So he with respect to his disciple and then asked Kamathana. At that time his disciple teach him Dudde Sakara some Kamathana. This is 32 parts as a repossessiveness. So he practiced according to his disciples' instruction, and at that only he became Arhat. So, if you want to understand whether my teacher is real Arhat or not, then you should try to become Arhat first. Therefore, if you believe this is Arhat or Anagami or Sakadagami or Sotapanna, then you should approach to that teacher. You should learn Samatha Vipassana under the guidance of him. But when you are learning the Samatha Vipassana, you should investigate whether his teaching is in accordance with Pali text or not. If it is against with Pali text, then you should not obey his instructions. If it is in accordance with Pali text, then you should practice accordingly.
Here we have two quite related questions, so we ask this two questions together at the same time. Is it necessary for nimitta to be crystal clear before one can switch to focus on it? Is it a must to have a crystal clear, bright nimitta of small size, like egg, before doing absorption? Some said if nimitta is not crystal clear, that is white or opaque, then one may complete samatha and vipassana training, but cannot attain fruition, as the yogi cannot see the ultimate reality clearly to realize the path and fruition of it. The first question is it necessary for the nimitta to be crystal clear before we can concentrate on it? Crystal clear.
Maybe crystal clear means transparent bright nimitta. That transparent bright nimitta becomes because of concentration. Concentration on what? Before that transparent nimitta stage, the transparent and bright nimitta is called Patibhaga nimitta, counterpart sign. Before counterpart sign stage, there is Ogaha nimitta, landing sign. Oga nimitta is usually white color like cotton wool. If you can concentrate on that white color cotton wool nimitta, Oga nimitta, when your concentration deep enough, at that time only white cotton wool color will change into crystal, bright, brilliant nimitta. Without concentrating on nimitta, on Ogaha nimitta, the crystal, transparent, bright nimitta cannot arise. So, before Patibhaga nimitta, there is Oga nimitta. You must concentrate on that Oga nimitta, especially white color nimitta like cotton wool. But before Oga nimitta, there is also another nimitta, preliminary sign, Parigama nimitta. That Parigama nimitta is like smoking, grey smoking color. On that Parigama nimitta, you must concentrate. But that Parigama nimitta must be unified with your breath. If the breath and Parigama nimitta become same, at that time only you should concentrate on the Parigama nimitta, grey smoking color nimitta. When your concentration deep enough, at that time, grey smoking color nimitta will change into Ogaha nimitta, white color nimitta like cotton wool. Again, if you can concentrate on that Ogaha nimitta, and when your concentration deep enough, at that time only that white color Ogaha nimitta will change into transparent and bright nimitta, Patibhaga nimitta. So, after concentration enough, at that time only you must focus on the Patibhaga nimitta. It is not true. Systematically, you must concentrate on the Parigama Nimitta, then Uga Nimitta, then Pratibhaga Nimitta only. Nimitta, counterpart sign. Counterpart sign must be clear, transparent, and bright. It is true. But for some meditators, this nimitta must be small. If the nimitta becomes small, their concentration becomes deeper and deeper. For some meditators, although they concentrate on the center of nimitta, but nimitta becomes bigger and bigger. At that time, they try to reduce their nimitta. This is problem. Although they reduce to become small, then very soon when they concentrate on the nimitta, then it will become bigger and bigger. So because of this reason, whether nimitta is big or small, no problem. For children, small quantity of food they can swallow. For adults, little bit bigger, they can swallow. In the same way, for some meditators, if nimitta is little bit big, their concentration is begun deeper and deeper. But for some meditators, their nimitta becomes small, then their concentration becomes deeper and deeper. But in meditators should not try to make the small or to make the nimitta small or to make the nimitta bigger. How they should practice? He should practice to concentrate on the center of nimitta, or maybe a little bit bigger area of nimitta only. According to his own desire, he can try. If a little bit bigger area is better, then he can try to concentrate on that nimitta, on the little bit bigger area. But small area is better for him, then he can concentrate on the small area only. He should not try to make the nimittas to become small or to become bigger. It is not necessary to do like that. Just concentrate on one point or a little bit bigger point. This is his responsibility. While he is concentrated on that nimitta, then when his concentration becomes deeper and deeper, then full absorption will arise on. Although he practices anapana, his nimitta cannot become counterpart sign, Pratibhaga nimitta, transparent and bright nimitta. Then he should not despair. He should change to other samatha meditation subjects such as Adidupa. According to Theravada teaching, after the attainment of Arhat and after the attainment of Pranibhana final cessation, Rahas cannot begin no more new existence. But for others, for example, Sotapannas, according to many suttas, there are three types of Sotapanna. Number one is Eka Vijit Sotapanna. Eka Vijit means who had only one existence, one future existence, one existence only, future existence. Is again future existence, surely they will again Rahashya and then they will take final cessation, Pranibhana. This is one type. Another type of Sotapanna is Kola Sotapanna. Kola Sotapanna means from one life to another they may go new existence from one life after another life. second future life and sixth future life. So they have opportunity 7 and 6 future existence. Such type of Sotapanna are called Kola Sotapanna. In second future life or third future life or fourth or fifth or sixth future life, surely they will attain Rashid and they will become, they will take final Prinibbana, final cessation. Number 3 Sotapanna is Sajakkhatu Brahma Sotapanna. Sajakkhatu Brahma Sotapanna has opportunity to be reborn, new future existence for 7 times. Not more than 7 times. At 7th future life, they will surely attain Rashid and they will take Pranibbana, final cessation. Another one is Sakadagami Vaspratana. Sakadagami has 4 sons. Sakadagamis have 1 chance to be reborn as a human being in future existence. But they also will become Rahat within few lives. They will take Pranibbana, final cessation. Another noble one is Anagami, Radhana. If they practice Vipassana, Samatha Vipassana diligently in this human life, and if they begin Anagami, if there is any future existence, they will reborn in Brahma only. When they reborn in Brahma, they will never reborn again in Deva world as well as in this human world. They will take Pranibbana in Brahma only. When they begin Raha, they will take Pranibbana, final cessation in Brahma only. For Puthujjana, worldly means there are 2 types. One type for Puthujjana, worldly beings practice Vipassana diligently up to Sankharuppaka Jnana stage. Although they practice Vipassana, Samatha Vipassana diligently, but they cannot attain noble stage in this very life. But such persons in future life, they will surely attain Sotapanna stage, etc. if they are not bodhisattvas. If they are bodhisattvas, they may reborn again and again in human world or in Deva world or in animal kingdom, etc. But if they are not bodhisattvas, they in second future life, surely they get attain Sotapanna stage, etc. Then in the same way, one day, in one of future existence, they will become Rahat and take Pranibbana, final cessation. This is one type of Puthujjana. Another type of Puthujjana, worldly being, is they never practice Samatha Vipassana. For those persons, we cannot say how many future existences will be. Future existence will be endless. Because they never practice Samatha Vipassana, which can be the supporting cause for realization of Nibbana, final cessation. Therefore, if you want to attain Nibbana or final cessation, so please practice Samatha Vipassana diligently, at least up to Sankharuppaka Jnana stage, the knowledge of equanimity towards formations.
所以，如果我们想要证悟涅槃真的般或真的涅槃，然后进入般涅槃的话呢，我们应该精进的修行止禅和观察，直到证得行舍智，最少证得行舍智。
If you have enough parami, then you may attain Sotapanna stage in this very life, or Sakadagami stage, or Anagami stage, or Arhat stage in this very life.
如果我们有足够的波罗蜜的话，我们甚至可以在这一世就证入须陀洹道果，或者是斯陀含道果，或者是阿那含道果，甚至是阿罗汉道果。Every time my mind start to concentrate, my eyes, nose, head, and neck become very tense. Even when I try to relax and not to control my breath, it still continues. It happens throughout my last 2 retreats also. The tension is very uncomfortable, and I could not continue with descending the breath. Is Anapanasati not for me?
If you think Anapanasati is not for you, then you should practice 4 elements meditation. It is better.
禅师说，如果你认为安般念并不适合你的话，禅师建议你转修世界分别观。
If you want to practice 4 elements meditation systematically up to Arhat stage, then please go to Nepal.
Question is, if you practice up the 4th jhana here, and then when we go home, we don't continue to practice, and we lose all the concentration. Then this kind of practice, will this kind of practice help us in future, or after that will it be helpful?
Helpful means wholesome terms or unwholesome terms cannot be left karma, as long as they cannot produce any future result. They are strong and powerful supporting cause. How they can be supporting cause? If you practice Anapana, for example, Anapana Kammadana in future, maybe in this very life or in future existence, it will be very easy for you to concentrate on the Anapana, or very soon Nimitta will appear. If there is Nimitta, if you concentrate on the Nimitta, then very soon you get added jhana. So because of this reason, although this jhana disappear, the karmic force of this jhana not perish away, not become less karma. One day it can be strong and powerful supporting cause for attaining jhana again. I research many meditators. Some meditators, when they are practicing dependent origination, at the day in one of their previous life, they already practiced Anapana meditation up to jhana stage, 5th jhana or 3rd jhana or 3rd jhana or 4th jhana. If they practice in this very life Anapana again, very quickly they can see Nimitta and they can attain jhana very, very quickly. In the same way, so many desires they have been practiced kasinas in previous life. If they practice kasina meditation in this very life, it is very easy for them. Within few days they can attain jhana. In the same way, if they had been discerned ultimate materiality, ultimate mentality in previous life, again if they practice here to discern how to discern ultimate materiality and ultimate mentality, it is very easy for them to understand ultimate materiality and ultimate mentality very quickly. So wholesome dhammas cannot become left karma as long as they do not produce proper result. So because of this reason, you should not disappoint. You should not be disappointed. Although jhana disappear.
Sarado, please explain how did the Buddha enter Pali Nibbana, the jhana he went into. Thank you very much.
If you please try to read Mahaparinibbana Sutta, it is better, you will understand the detail. According to Mahaparinibbana Sutta's explanation, Buddha practiced three kasinas in 8 academics forward and backward again and again. When he reached 4th jhana stage, again, and then he took Parinibbana. This is mentioned. But according to some suttas, while he is ready to take Parinibbana, at the day his mind is inclined to the Nibbana object. Inclining or trying to see Nibbana, and then he took Parinibbana.
The next question is, if we complete the whole Samadhi and Vipassana course, then will we be enlightened? If we complete the whole Samatha and Vipassana course, will we become an Arya?
Maybe if you practice Vipassana up to Sankarupaka jhana stage only, then we cannot say this is complete Vipassana. If you continue up to Path and Fruition knowledge stage, at that time we can say partially complete Vipassana. Partially means if you become Sotapanna, then this is only partially. When Vipassana will complete, if you add hardship, at that time only Vipassana will be complete. So because of this reason, if you realize Nibbana by Sotapattipa and Fruition knowledge, then you can become only Sotapanna only. But without realizing, if you although you practice Vipassana up to Sankalpa jhana stage, you cannot realize Nibbana, then you cannot become Sotapanna or noble one.
The next question is, what should we do at the near-death moment? What should we do at Maranasamma moment?
The best way is you should practice Vipassana. This is very good. In time of death, if you practice Vipassana state, for example, you are contemplating ultimate materiality or ultimate mentality as nature or dukkha or anatta. At the day that appears, this is very good. Very good means you are Maranasana Javana. That proximate impulsion, mind movement, will take the nature or dukkha or anatta nature of these formations. Because of this reason, in future existence, depending on your own desire, you may reborn in one of Deva planes. If you reborn in Deva planes, this is spontaneous reborn, spontaneous rebirth only. If you rebirth spontaneously in one of Deva plane, if you reborn spontaneously in one of Deva plane, in that Deva life, Padisandhi consciousness, Path linking mind moment, Bhuanga consciousness, life continuum, in Chuti consciousness, death consciousness mind moment. These three types of mind moments will also take the nature or dukkha or anatta nature of these formations, which already realized by your death proximate embarrassing mind moment in previous life. So because of this reason, in Devava, when he reflects formations as anicca, dukkha, anatta, he can quickly attain nibbana. This is mentioned in Sotanusugata Sutta of Anguttara Nikaya, Chattoka Nibbana, 4th chapter. However, if you have Anaparami, if you practice Vipassana up to near that moment diligently, depending on your Parami, you may attain Sotapanna stage or any noble one stage. So, because of this reason, propose that if you practice Vipassana diligently, it is better. If you have no Vipassana, you cannot practice Vipassana in the right way. If you can practice only Samatha, then near that moment you should also practice Samatha only. If you already attained jhana, then in time of death, you should re-establish your jhana concentration. If you can maintain your jhana concentration up to that moment, then it is sure you will reborn in Brahmavar. Again, if you practice Samatha Vipassana both diligently and if you become Sotapanna, for example, in this very life, near that moment, if you don't want to practice Vipassana, but you want only to practice jhana, then if you re-establish your jhana concentration up to that moment, then it is also sure to be, you will reborn in one of Brahma planes. In Brahma world, there is no man, there is no woman. It is not necessary to be married. So there will be no son, there will be no daughter, there will be no quarreling to each other. Is it good? Another good thing is you will never return to this Deva world or human world. It is sure you will be a day higher and higher noble stage, and you will take Pranibhana, final cessation in Brahma world only. It is sure, definite. You will never return to human world again.
The next question is, during one of the retreat, participants are brought to their past life. They got to know the relationship between the participants. For example, one may be the husband of the other, one may be the friend of the other. Each of them are interrelated in that particular past life. I understand that through meditation, we are also able to see our past. Can Sayadaw enlighten us on the following? First, what is the purpose of knowing the past through meditation? 2. As human beings has a lot of attachment. I believe there will be cases whereby after they know who they are, they start to cling on to it and start to relate the present with the past. This is not a healthy action, and I believe this is a wrong view. Does the Sayadaw agree with this? And so what kind of attitude a yogi should have before he looks into the past? Yeah, I think maybe there's someone who can read. The question number 1 is, what is the purpose of knowing the past through meditation?
We had explained, without understanding Purnavat, you cannot attain Sotapanna stage or Sakadagami or Nagami or Arhat stage. Do you agree? If you agree, what is the noble truth of the origin of suffering? I had explained already. Dependent origination is the noble truth of the origin of suffering. This is taught by the Buddha in Tikayana Sutta of Anguttara Nikaya. Tika Nibbata. If you have